All right, we are here at my urban worm bag, and the last time we were in here, we did a little bit of an experiment. We actually put in a new product called a Floofah, which is a really cool sponge made out of loofah, and we put it in the center of this bin. And we are going to check to see if we can find it, and we're also going to give them one really big feeding item that I'd given in the past, and it ended up being one of my biggest mistakes in here, and we're going to give it a try again, believe it or not. Now, it has been 35 days since we were in here last, and the feeding wasn't all that big, so they might have eaten it down, and we did give them a couple of feedings in between, but I don't expect to see too much in here. What I am seeing is just some of this bigger cardboard stuff that we put in here. In fact, let's review what we put in here last. First, we started with a load of dry shredded cardboard. Then we put down our shower floofah for the experiment. Next, we surrounded it with handfuls of banana peels, celery stalks, and red peppers. Then we put a half of watermelon right on top of the floofah. Next, we dumped a couple of bags of mixed kitchen scraps in, one of which had a bunch of grapes. Finally, we covered that colorful feeding with pulverized eggshell grit, used coffee grounds, and worm chow. And then we topped it all off with various big bedding items from around the house and damp shredded cardboard, which is what we're seeing right here. And that damp shredded cardboard did a really good job of keeping this worm bin the perfect moisture level. And we are seeing some really great worms throughout the casting, so I'm pretty excited about that. Now, you saw those water bottles that were on top. That's because it was pretty hot, but just recently we have had some cold weather dive down here into Florida, so it is 46 as I'm checking on this worm bin right now. So let's look on the sides, and we are getting all kinds of good worms right here, and I think that's because, yeah, remember we put a bunch of coffee grounds right here, and it lasted through one experiment, so I think this is about 60 days later, and the worms are all over it, and we put the whole container of it in here, and all the way down, as I look, just more and more worms. That is great. In fact, we are going to put a lot of coffee down this time around because I do want to try and keep the worm bin a little bit warmer while it's cold outside. So let's try and dig down here where that watermelon was and see if there's anything left of the floofah. And let me show you what it looks like. Now here is a shower floofah and here is a kitchen floofah, and they're both being used right now. This is the one that you saw me put in the outdoor worm bin and in the garden, and we saw this one almost completely gone from the garden. And here is what they look like when you get them. They're completely flat and you just soak them in water and then they puff up real big. And the one that we had put in here had been used for about a month and a half before we put it in. So let's see what it looks like compared to this one right here. So I'm pretty sure it's right in the middle, and I don't see any part of the watermelon we put in here, and I don't really know how far down I'm gonna have to dig. I'm gonna have to be thorough because that one that we got in the garden was completely gone. I think it took 3 weeks to get where it was, and this one is more like 5 weeks. I'm starting to see little bits of something right here. Let me dive down like this and see if maybe I go from underneath. I get a little something. There's something right here. I don't know if that is pieces of the floofah. You know what? This right here looks to me, yep, you see those little hash kind of things? That is the floofah. And check it out. It is pretty much gone. There is no integrity to any part of it. So in this urban worm bag, this is about as big a piece you're gonna get after 5 weeks. And that was the bigger floofah, the bath shower floofah. And that is it. Oh, look, we got a little bit of the string. Here's what's left so far. We've got a little bit of this tag. We're gonna keep this in here to see if it's getting eaten. And I think it is because I see some part of it right here kind of being chewed on, and it was totally intact when we started, but look at that. That right there is probably maybe some of the string that sewed it together, but that's what's left of your floofah from here to here in 5 weeks. That is incredible. I'm so excited. You know, I don't know if we're gonna call this experiment done because we have this here, so you know what, I'll just kind of set it to the side and I'm gonna try to make sure I put that in the feeding zone. But let's go ahead and set up for that feeding zone. I'm just gonna put everything that is kind of big right here because this is going to be big. You know, when you do an experiment, it's always important to go over your mistakes and try and improve the experiment. Really, no mistakes. You're just learning. But you do want to see if there's room for more discovery or something that you might do differently with the experiment. And the last time we did this experiment, it was in June, and we are in December. And that's what I mentioned last time, and that's what we're going to do today. So first, we're going to go in with some of this bigger cardboard, just like that. And I'll just kind of spread this around. And this is all going in dry, and that's important because the food item that we're going to feed them is pretty darn juicy. And this bin right now is at a absolutely perfect moisture, in my opinion. In fact, if I was going to harvest this, I think the castings coming out the bottom would be absolutely perfect. So whereas I think this stuff will be airy and help to kind of provide oxygen under what we're going to put in here, this is going to kind of help to absorb some of the moisture. It has a lot more surface area. And I got to thank my mom for all this shredded cardboard. She absolutely loves the shredder that I got here. I have some links in the description, but I have an endless supply of shredded cardboard because of her. So here we go. Here is what we are going to put in this worm bin. And this is a whole pumpkin. Let me just kind of set it there and get rid of this container. And this was one of our pumpkins from Halloween. Let me just take this napkin off it. It has been sitting in our freezer for the last, a little bit over a month. And what I did was I filled the whole thing up with shredded cardboard. And my hope there is that it will kind of absorb the moisture as it's going down. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take a time lapse of this thing probably every day to kind of see how it does in the worm bin. And I'm going to backfill this with all kinds of shredded cardboard. All right, the executive producer thinks I have filled it up enough, but I don't know how the worms are, I don't know if the worms will crawl all the way up. So I think we need more shredded cardboard.
Good job.
It was so positive. Is that because I didn't make a mess? All right, we're going to put more in here. This is a lot of shredded cardboard. I think that I should have dampened it. I don't know. We'll see. But this should be very interesting. All right. Well, I've solved one of the problems that I've been talking about recently, and that is bulking it up. This thing is all the way pretty much to the top of the zippers, so I'm pretty happy about that. And I do think I have a lot of dry shredded cardboard when I could have used some damp stuff. So what I may do is come in here with some water spray and moisten this up. And that spray also has mosquito dunk solution in it, so that'll also help any fruit flies or gnats that might sense this pumpkin here. One of the things I forgot to do was put coffee in, so we are going to feed this thing a little bit of coffee, just like that. And then I'm going to put it all around here. Now, if this was wet, this would have been better, but we'll see if the worms are maybe attracted to the coffee and the pumpkin as well. The other thing I'm thinking about is I don't think I have any kind of breaks in the skin down below. I do have some up here where the top of it is cut out, so maybe they'll sense it there. So I just don't know. I don't know if the worms are going to come in from the side, if they're going to crawl over the top. This is going to be really fun to see, especially when we do the check-ins, because what I'll do is I'll have the camera up and I'll just lift the lid off and we'll catch the worms in the act. The executive producer wants me to get rid of more coffee, so Mama gets what Mama wants, and we're going to put it all over there, just like that.
I think it looks good.
So some of you may have realized that I forgot to put those little remnants of the Floofah underneath, but the worms will still attack it over there, and we'll keep checking. We know it's right there. And if you're interested in these Floofahs, I'll put a link in the description. They are fantastic and they make great holiday gifts. So if you want to see what happened the last time I did this, go ahead and check out this video right here. We even got the executive producer to get in here and get her hands dirty. And boy, did that pumpkin stink last time. So I hope you're having a great day. I hope your worm bins are doing fantastic. And don't try this at home unless you have about 10,000 compost worms in one bin like I do. So happy vermicomposting, everybody. Take care now.